Hello students, today I am going to discuss the poem The Schoolboy written by William Blake. This is the second lesson, second unit of your course book, that is The Schoolboy written by William Blake. I want to give a brief note on the poet. William Blake, he was born on 28th November 1757. Blake, an English poet of the late 18th century, he was also a painter, he was also an engraver. His education, Blake's education, was unorthodox. He left his school at the age of 10. He was educated at home, initially by his mother. After learning to read and write, he started reading books, poring over books. So he was self-taught. After that, he started engraving. His parents, noticing his interest, they enrolled him to a drawing school. At the age of 14, he was apprenticed to an engraver. And I told you Blake belongs to that late 18th century, and that time was a time of French Revolution. It was a time of Industrial Revolution. So Blake was born into a turbulent time, a time of social unrest in England. And this gets reflected in most of his works. Because Blake was extremely critical of his time, that a turbulent time, a time of social unrest. And when he lived, means during his lifetime, he was neglected. But only now the critics, now they praise him as a revolutionary poet. In fact, he is a very great poet of England. You have the poem The Schoolboy written by William Blake. This poem, Schoolboy, in this poem, Blake highlights the problems inherent in the formal education. I'm telling you, what is this poem about? He highlights the flaws of a formal education. What is a formal education? Formal education, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ the product of this formal education. Now, that is a system of education. This system is syllabus oriented. You have textbook, infrastructures like a building, playground, laboratory, etc. And teachers with specific qualifications are employed to teach you. And it prepares the students, children, for the white collar job. It is not entirely a bad system of education, but Blake says there are flaws, there are demerits in this formal schooling. He feels it's an orthodox method of teaching. It is an unnatural way of teaching and learning. You find no motivation, and he feels that it's not creative enough. So, in this poem, He speaks particularly about the experience of a schoolboy. The problems faced by a schoolboy, problems faced by a child in a school or in this formal learning. That is the poem about. Now, how does William Blake do that? In the poem, the schoolboy is a speaker. Okay? Schoolboy is a speaker. He speaks. If you have the course book, just look at the first line of the first stanza. I love to rise in a summer morn. Who does this word I refer to? I refers to the schoolboy. I love. Schoolboy is a speaker. So in this poem, it is told from the perspective, it is told from the outlook of a young boy. Young boy himself, he himself shares his feelings. He shares his experience. His voice is heard everywhere throughout the poem. Whose voice is heard? Schoolboys. The schoolboy's voice is heard. He expresses his feelings. Now, what are his feelings? Is he happy? If so, where and why? Is he unhappy? If so, where and why? See, there are total 6 stanzas in this poem. And each stanza has 5 lines. And the first line, it rhymes with the third line, and second line, it rhymes with the fourth and fifth. The same pattern is followed throughout. Students, please note, first line, first stanza, first line, word moon is rhymed with the word horn, and word tree is rhymed with me and company of a fourth and fifth line. Okay. Please make a note of that. I told you the same rhyming scheme is repeated in all the 6 stanzas. Okay. Now, this is the poem. Let us consider first 3 stanzas. First stanza is contrasted with the second and the third. The natural world is contrasted with a man-made world. And his experience outside the classroom is contrasted with the experience inside his voice experience inside the classroom. Outside the classroom, he is free. His life is unrestricted. Inside the classroom, there is no freedom. His life is restricted. Okay, how he brings out that contrast. Okay, now look at the first stanza. I love to rise in a summer morn, when the birds sing on every tree. The distant huntsman winds his horn, and the skylark sings with me. Oh, what sweet company. Here, boy, in this first stanza, the boy's delight of waking up to the birds singing is described here. I love to rise in a summer morn. I told you the first line that I refers to the schoolboy. Who does that word I refer to? I refers to the schoolboy. And what does a boy love? Boy loves to rise in a summer morn. R-I-S-E, rise. It's a verb. Rise means get up. In a summer morn. When? Summer morn. What time of the day is given? Morning. What time of the year is given? That is summer. Which season is mentioned? Summer. So, when does the boy love to rise? He loves to rise in a summer morn. Morn means morning. Poet has used the word morn to rhyme with the word horn in the third line. Boys loves to rise in a summer morn when the birds sing on every tree. Summer, that is the warmest season of the year. Especially the people of temperate countries like England, they love summer season. Your boy loves to get up early in the summer morning, but when I told you, he's delighted, he's very happy of waking up to the birds singing. He wakes up and listens to the chirping of birds. Birds are the nature's musicians. ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಹಕ್ಕಿಗಳ ಚಿಲಿಪಿಲಿ ಕಲರವ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನಿದ್ರೆಯಿಂದ ಎಬ್ಬಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ birds, he listens to the chirping of the birds. He loves. And not only the chirping of the birds, he also hears the distant huntsman's horn. Hunter blows his horn while chasing his prey. This is a piece of adventure. Children love adventure. Children love mystery. ಒಬ್ಬ ಬೇಟೆಗಾರ ಕಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಟೆ ಆಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಬಹಳ ಕುತೂಹಲಕಾರವಾದ ವಿಷಯ ಅದು. And look at that fourth line. And the skylark sings with me. Skylark is a sweet singing bird. And he hears the song of the skylark also. Look at the last line of that first stanza. It says, oh, what sweet company. After oh, there is an exclamatory mark. And what a sweet company. It's an exclamatory sentence. Exclamatory sentence is usually used to express strong desires. Here it is used to express his joy. Boy is very happy in the company of birds, skylark. And he's very happy to listen to the song of the bird, song of the skylark, and the sound of the horn blown by the hunter. So, now let us move on to the next two stanzas. I told you first stanza is contrasted with the second and third stanza. But to go to school on a summer morn, oh, it drives all joy away. Under a cruel eye outworn, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. Then at times I drooping sit and spend many an anxious hour, nor in my book can I take delight, nor sit in learning's bower, worn through with a dreary shower. The second stanza, first line, begins with the word but. It's a conjunction. Conjunction is a word which joins which joins words, phrases, clauses, and sentences. Yeah, but it expresses, in this poem, it expresses contrast or opposition. It's a turning point. I told you, boy was very happy, but to go to school on a summer morn, I thought of going to the school on that summer morn. Oh, it dispels his happiness. It dispels his joy. It drives away all his joy. Boy feels very sad. The moment before he is very happy. But suddenly the thought of going to school comes to his mind, and that thought, what thought? Thought of going to school, it drives away all his happiness and energy. And the following lines, he shares his experience in the school. Why doesn't he like to be in this classroom? Oh, under a cruel eye outworn, the little ones spend the day in sighing and dismay. Why doesn't he like? The little ones there refer to the children, schoolboys like him. They spend the day. How do they spend their day? In the classroom, in the school, in sighing and dismay, in discouragement. They are not interested, they are uninterested. They are under a cruel eye outworn. Here, cruel eye refers to the cruel eye of a teacher. They do not want to sit under their they are uninterested. They do not want to sit under the strict supervision of a teacher. They do not have any freedom. They spend their valuable time. They spend the day, means they spend their valuable time of their life within the four walls of the classroom in doing something they are not interested in. They spend their time in despair and discouragement. So they do not like. And in the next stanza, the same mood is expressed. Then at times I drooping sit. Here also in both the stanzas, exclamatory mark is used. But unlike the first stanza, here it expresses sorrow, not joy. I told you first stanza is contrasted with the second and third stanza. Here boy's sorrow is expressed. Then at times I drooping sit. How does the boy sit? He sits drooping, not erect, not upright. It suggests the posture in which the boy sits in his classroom. The posture itself suggests he is not interested, and he spends many an anxious hour. How does he spend his hours in the class, in his school? Anxious hour, he is restless. And nor in my book can I take delight. Delight means books are unamusing. He is not interested. Books don't delight him. And he doesn't want to sit in a learning's bower. Learning's bower here refers to school. Bhava means any kind of enclosure. Here the enclosure of four walls, within the four wall of learning. Learning bhava means it refers to school. He does not want to sit there in his school because he is worn through. Worn through means he is tired with a dreary shower. Shower also refers to the rain, but here dreary shower refers to all the teachings of his teacher. So these two stanzas tells us how unhappy is a boy. He is not happy. He is anxious. He is not carefree. Books don't delight him, nor his school. And why doesn't he like? What are the things that he does not like? He does not like that fearful atmosphere. There is no freedom. He is restless. He is tired. In the first stanza, boy is very happy. Okay? Out of 6 stanzas of this poem, 1 stanza speaks of his happiness. Childhood, our childhood is also it is also very short. In the first stanza, he wakes up out of sleep to the songs of the bird, songs of the skylark, and sounds of a huntsman's horn. He hears. The stress is here on the sense of hearing. But that sense, when he hears, it trickles his other senses. He sets fire on his, it sets fire on his imagination. Actually, it opens up a new world of possibilities. And he takes his wings of imagination and delightedly he flies like a bird. It's very, very happy in the company, in the sweet company of these birds. Bird, tree, skylark, they are the objects of nature. There are no rules, no boundaries, no restrictions. So the boy is very happy. But contrary to that, his school experience, it is negative. There he is not motivated, it's not creative. Okay, have you understood? Now let us move on to the 4th stanza, because this 4th stanza, it summarizes the dreadful experience, the boy's experience in the school. In this stanza, he asks a question. This question is called a rhetorical question. What is a rhetorical question? You ask a question for the sake of asking question. He does not expect an answer. You don't require an answer. You know the answer. The speaker, he knows the answer. He asks a question, and he asks, that question is a rhetorical question. And that, I told you, it summarizes his experience in the school. How can the bird that is born for joy sit in a cage and sing? How can a child, when fears annoy, but droop his tender wing and forget his youthful spring? Says, he gives the image of a bird inside a cage. The picture of a caged bird. How can a caged bird, when his wings are clipped, how can that bird sing of joy? How can a bird sit in a cage? See, bird flies. naturally. Fish swims, bird flies. Sky is its domain. It flies, spreading its wings. ಅಂತ ಹಕ್ಕಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹಿಡಿದು ಹಾಕಿದರೆ ಸಂತೋಷದಿಂದ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದು? ಇರಲ್ಲ. And I told you, it flies, a bird, a free bird, it flies freely in the sky, spreading its wings. When it flies, its wings feel the wind, it feels the wind, it glides, it soars higher and higher. Bird is very happy, but a caged bird, it cannot sing. Similarly, he says, how can a child, look at that sentence, how can the bird, look at the third sentence, how can a child, a bird cannot sing, a child cannot be happy. When fears and awe, means in a fearful atmosphere, child cannot be happy, but droop his tender wing, forget his youthful spring. Here, but, it is a dramatic expression. It expresses helplessness of the boy. What can a child do in that fearful atmosphere? It cannot do nothing but to droop his tender wing, and it has to forget his youthful spring. Okay, you can see the picture of a school boy in the classroom, uninterested school boy, and you have the picture of a bird, imprisoned bird in a cage. What does the boy compare to here? The boy is compared to a caged bird, and that caged bird cannot sing of joy because it is imprisoned. His wings are clipped, it cannot fly. Similarly, a child cannot feel happy. He is not happy. Okay. Now the last two stanzas, fifth and sixth stanza, last two stanzas. Okay, there are two stanzas, but I want to take it as a single unit. Please make a note of this. End of the last line of that fifth stanza, there is no full stop. You find a comma there. He asks these two stanzas, the small boy, the school boy, complains to his parents. Oh father and mother, oh dear parents. Here mother and father means parents, means authorities. It refers to authorities. And he complains, and there is a warning. He also warns of consequences of a formal schooling. Before we proceed, students, I want to tell you that William Blake uses an extended metaphor here. He compares the natural cycle of life to the 4 seasons of the year, like spring, summer, autumn, and winter. They are the 4 seasons of the year, and each season emerges, giving way to the next, giving way to the new. It's a natural process. Similarly, human life too, it is divided into different phases, just like different seasons. He equals seasons of the earth to the seasons of a boy's life. For example, spring he compares to childhood, summer to adolescent, that is youth, that a period of a transition between childhood and adulthood. Then autumn is compared to adulthood and winter is compared to old age. So students, please keep this in your mind. He compares 4 seasons of the year to the 4 phases, just different phases of the boy's seasons or phases of a boy's life. Now, O father and mother, if buds are nipped and blossoms blown away, and if the tender plants are stripped of their joy in the springing day, by sorrow and care's dismay, how shall the summer arise in joy, or the summer's fruits appear? Or how shall we gather what griefs destroy, or bless the mellowing ear when the blasts of winter appear? He asks questions. He questions the authorities here. By questioning, he warns them also. See, throughout, if clauses are used here. If clauses are conditional clauses. What are these if clauses, conditional clauses? See, for example, if you are late, you will miss the bus. ನೀನು ಬರೋದು ವಿಳಂಬವಾದರೆ ಬಸ್ ತಪ್ಪಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಫೇಲ್. ನೀನು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರಮಪಟ್ಟು ಓದದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ ನೀನು ಫೇಲ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಇದು ಆದರೆ there are 3 types of conditional clauses. Here if clauses are used, see there, if buds are nipped, what will happen if buds are nipped? Summer will not arise in joy. If tender plants are stripped, fruits will not appear. If buds are nipped, buds ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮೊಗ್ಗು. ಈ buds are nipped ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾಟ್ ಕಟ್, ತುಂಡರಿಸೋದಲ್ಲ. ನಿಪ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಟೈಟ್ಲಿ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದ ಫಿಂಗರ್ಸ್, ಕಿವುಚುವುದು, ಹಿಚುಕುವುದು ಅಥವಾ ಕಿವುಚುವುದು, ಹಿಚುಕುವುದು. ಇಫ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಿಪ್ಟ್, ನಾವು ಮೊಗ್ಗು ಬೆಳೆದು ಅರಳಿ ಹೂ ಆಗೋದಲ್ವಾ. ಈ ಮೊಗ್ಗನ್ನೇ ಹಿಚುಕಿ ಹಾಕಿದರೆ ಟುಮಾರೋ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ನೋ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸ್. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಇಫ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ನಾಟ್ ಕಟ್, ಹೊಸಕಿ ಹಾಕಿದರೆ ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ಡ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಪ್ಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ ಎರಡು ಕೂಡ ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಅರ್ಥ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಫ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಿಪ್ಡ್, ಇಫ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್, ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಸ್ಯಾಪ್ಲಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ಸಣ್ಣ ಗಿಡವನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಹೊಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಕಿದರೆ ದರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ನೋ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಟುಮಾರೋ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಇದೆರಡು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವ. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಮೊಗ್ಗನ್ನು ಇಫ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಿಪ್ಡ್, summer will not arise. If tender plants are stripped, fruits will not appear ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, if childhood of children, similarly ಹೀಗೆ if childhood of children is spoiled, it takes away their springing day. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಆ ಸಣ್ಣ ಮುಗ್ಧ ಮಗು ಕೂಡ ಈ ಸ್ಟೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಮಗುವನ್ನು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ಆದರೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಹೊಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಕಿದರೆ, ಹಿಚುಕಿದರೆ, ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿದರೆ, there will be no summer, means there will be no youth. There will be, means if children are not taken care at that tender age, they will not grow into healthy young men. It will affect their personality. ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹೇಳೋದು ಅವನು. ಇಡೀ 2 ಸ್ಟಾನ್ಸದ ಅರ್ಥ ಅದೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಇಫ್ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಟೈಮ್, ವಸಂತ ಋತುವಲ್ಲಿ ಚಿಗುರು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಮೊಗ್ಗು ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ, ಅದನ್ನು ಹಿಚಕಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ವಸಂತ ಋತುವಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಟೆಂಡರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಡ್, ನಾಳೆಗೆ ಹೂಗಳಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೂವು ಹಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇದೆ. ಹೂವೇ ಮುಂದೆಗೆ ಹಣ್ಣಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದೆರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ನೋ ಫ್ರೂಟ್ಸ್. ಹಾಗೆ ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಹೋದ ಹಾಗೆ ಇಫ್ ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ಹುಡ್ ಇಸ್ ಸ್ಪಾಯಿಲ್ಡ್, he will not be blessed with the mellowing ear, and that will obstruct his natural growth, and they will not grow into mature old men. They cannot sustain life through the harsh winter that is old age. Here the poet says, early childhood is very important. We have to handle it carefully. And this early childhood has got its effect on his personality, because early childhood, it forms the basis of his intelligence, his personality, his social behavior, his capacity to learn, his capacity to learn and nurture oneself as an adult. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚೈಲ್ಡ್ಹುಡ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲಿಯ ಕವಿಯ ಆಶಯ ಇಷ್ಟೇ. ದಿಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅ ಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಎಜುಕೇಷನ್, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ಲಾಸ್, and to some extent this kind of formal education, it hampers the natural growth of the child. Now if our children, they are our future. If the natural growth of the children are hampered, if they are not taught to reflect, if they are not taught to think, explore, analyze, if they are not taught to think scientifically, definitely it will affect the growth of the society and it corrupts our society. ಮಕ್ಕಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಆಸ್ತಿ. ಈ ಆಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಜತನವಾಗಿ ಕಾಪಾಡಬೇಕು. ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಭವಿಷ್ಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮಾಜದ ಭವಿಷ್ಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ, ಸಮಾಜದ ಒಳಿತಿಗಾಗಿ, ಸಮಾಜದ ಆರೋಗ್ಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ, ಭವಿಷ್ಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಇದು ಬಹಳ ಒಂದು ಅವಶ್ಯಕವಾದ ವಿಷಯ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್.